Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be filming a July and an August reading wrap up. I decided to combine the two because I only read like 5 books in August because I was busy working, and I read like maybe 7 or 8 in July. So without further ado, let's get into the wrap up. I'm going to start with the month of July first, and I'm going to start with the books that I reread in July because July was a reread month for me. I decided to reread a lot of my favorites, so I'm going to go through those first. Okay, so the reread list first starts with Keeping 13. I reread Binding 13 at the end of June, so then I went into Keeping 13 in the beginning of July, and this book is literally just a classic. Like, it will always be like top 10 for me. The whole series is just magnificent, and every time I think about Johnny and Shannon, I like have to reread Binding 13 and Keeping 13, so do with that information what you will. The next reread was The Deal, and honestly, anytime I have a crisis or I have like a minor inconvenience, I have to reread The Deal because it just makes me happy. And who doesn't love Garrett Graham? The next reread is Throttled by Lauren Asher, and there is just something about Noah Slade and this book that I love. It's just really up there in the Lauren Asher world for me, and I know a lot of people have mixed opinions about this book, but I personally loved it, and I reread it every once in a while to feel something. Last reread is Flawless by Elsie Silver. Again, this book just altered my brain chemistry in a way that I can't even describe. So again, anytime I have a minor inconvenience, I reread Flawless because I love Rhett Eaton, and every time he says princess, my heart melts. And now moving on to the actual books. I mean, those were actual books, but like new books that I read in July. So first, I read Heartless by Marissa Meyer, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I DNF'd this one. This is kind of like an Alice in Wonderland themed story. Sorry, words. Wow, words are really not cooking there. It's very Alice in Wonderland theme-y, you know, and I just like wasn't vibing with it. So I DNF'd it, and that's all I had to say about it. The next book that I read was Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walters, and I loved this book so much. I literally read it in one sitting. I was supposed to read it last summer, and I put it off forever, and I finally picked it up, and literally 5 stars, literally loved, and go read this book. Then I read Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, and this book was amazing. Literally a million stars. Like, this book just altered my brain chemistry, and one day I will reread it. And it's just like one of those books that like anytime I feel something, I'm gonna like want to reread this book. So if you have not read Divine Rivals, please do. Okay, and now I'm gonna go into my Kindle reads, and the first Kindle read of the month of July was The Birthday List by Devney Perry, and I rated that one a 4. I really liked that book, honestly. It was nothing, like, it was hard. It was nothing memorable. Like, if I told you the plot line, could I tell you the plot line? No. But did I enjoy it? Yes. And then I read the Ravenhood series by Kate Stewart. So I didn't rate Flock because Flock, the first book, I had no idea what was going on. So I no rated it, but it was still really good. And then the second book, which was Exodus, 5 stars. That book was literally pain, so painful, and I will be thinking about that for the rest of my life. The last book in the series is The Finish Line, and I rated that one a 4. I liked that book. Did I think it was entirely too long? Yes. Could I have done without it? Yes. Did it pick up towards the end and it was fine? Yes. So that's why I rated it a 4. Honestly, thinking about it, I kind of want to move it down to a 3, but it is what it is. So now we're going to move on to August. The first book I read in August was One Last Rainy Day by Kate Stewart. So it was like a spin-off series of the Ravenhood trilogy. So this book was essentially the first two books, but in Dominic's point of view. So if you've read the Ravenhood series and you know who Dominic is, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But that book was like straight pain, just to preface. And that's the only book I read on my Kindle this month. So now I'm gonna move on to my August physical reads. Okay, starting off strong, I read the War of Lost Heart trilogies by Carissa Broadbent, and this whole series literally altered my brain chemistry. Take a shot every time I said that in this video, but I'm actually obsessed and I love. So I'm gonna go through each one and what I rated them. Starting with the first one, Daughter of No Worlds, I rated this one a 5. I think this one was paced out so well. Like I wanted to never put it down, and I was just so curious like what was going on. And then the second one, Children of Fallen Gods, this one I rated a 4.5 just because I feel like the pacing was a little off, and it was just like, why were all these things happening? Like they also just threw in a new point of view, and they had like no explanation towards it, so I think that kind of confused me and I didn't know what was happening when the new point of view was inserted. But loved it nonetheless, and I highly recommend this whole trilogy. So then we move on to the last one, Mother of Death and Dawn, and this book was like it was like anything that could go wrong went wrong essentially for the first like 70% of the book, and then like the last 70% we were like finally getting somewhere. But I rated it a 5 nonetheless because it was like war after war after war after war. Like there was no peace in this book whatsoever until the last page. So do with that information what you will. I loved it, I recommend it, but you know, that might not be people's cup of tea. And then the last book that I read in the month of August was The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. I watched the movie a long time ago and I was actually obsessed with it, and so I decided to read the book and I rated this a 4. I liked it. I think it's just different. It's not like, obviously it's not a romance. It's oops, my phone. Obviously it's not a romance. I think it's considered a historical fiction. You know, it's just different. If you know the movie, you know, if you read this book, you know the plot of the book, you kind of know it's a different, I don't want to say a darker story, but it's, you know, 1939, Nazi Germany, you got it. And this book is told by like the point of view of death, or there is a point of view of death in this book, so like it's just different. But I highly enjoyed it, and that is the reading wrap up. So I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm trying to get better at doing wrap ups for you guys, because I know a lot of people like them. So bear with me, and I will see you in September. Bye.